Hello and welcome. Tonight, cherry news for Nigeria as Tobi Amusan stuns athletic community, sets a new world record in women's 100 meters hurdle at World Athletics Championships in Oregon, USA. Another Nigerian, Ese Brume, also shines in long jump. 3 more Abuja Kaduna train abductees freed by terrorists as families of remaining hostages protest in Abuja. And presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, promises to ensure generation of 15,000 megawatts of electricity within 4 years if he is elected in 2023.
On business news tonight, Nigerian bakers raised the price of bread by between 10 and 20% after 4-day warning strike, cite high cost of production.
And on sports news tonight, the Super Falcons are back in the country from their Africa Cup of Nations campaign in Morocco.
And from Abuja, another political face-off brews in Rivers State as PDP sues INEC, demands nullification of APC legislative primaries held in the state.
And in international news from London, 4 democracy activists have been executed by Myanmar's military in what is believed to be the first use of capital punishment in decades.
We begin tonight on an exciting note, something to cheer about in sports, where our own Tobi Amusan ended Nigeria's long wait for a World Athletics Championship gold medal, and another athlete, Ese Brume, also put a sterling performance in long jump. But let's begin with the 25-year-old Amusan, who finished first in the final of the 100 meters hurdles, setting a new world record in the event. That was after she broke the world record set in 2016 by an American in the semi-final. And this is how the historic event played out at Hayward Field in Oregon, USA.
On to 8, a due to be occupied from those that made it through the first round qualification. Fire from Nigeria, Tobi Amusan.
The new athletic sensation, Tobi Amusan, records an upset, first in the semi-final of the women's 100 meters hurdle of the World Athletics Championships. Amusan steals the show, rocketing to a new world record of 12.12 seconds. Following her record-breaking performance in the semis, Tobi lined up as favorite for gold in the final. She wins gold in what was initially announced as the world record 12.06, although excessive wind speeds meant her time was ruled out.
Finally, God did it. I'm so thankful to be out here, you know. It's been a journey. I couldn't be more thankful to the man of God for keeping me healthy and be able to, you know, showcase my talent, and I'm just thankful. Nothing is impossible, you know. I worked really hard, I trained really hard. It was just long due, and, you know, God showed up today, and thankful.
For Tobi, third time is a charm after making the semis on her debut in London in 2017 and finishing 4th in Doha 2 years later.
And that's not all from the World Athletics Championships. We also have another Nigerian, S.A. Brume, who won silver in the final of the long jump event. Brume started out with a jump of 6.61 meters and then improved to 6.88 before leaping to a season's best of 7.02, which put her in the lead. However, Germany's Malaika Mahambo, who is the defending champion, responded with a superior leap of 7.09 meters, which was good enough for gold. Brume settles for silver, which is an upgrade on the bronze she won in Doha in 2019. Brazilian Letícia Oromelo took bronze with 6.89 meters. And reactions are pouring in following Amusan and Brume's performance today. Former president of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, Daniel Ngerem, has been reacting to the performance of new world record holder Toby Amusan and silver medalist at the World Athletics Championship, S.A. Brume. In an exclusive interview with Channels Television, Mr. Ngerem, the country's athletics ruling body, he said that it must not sleep on the achievements of the duo, but get to work to improve on the country's infrastructure.
It's fantastic. I mean, and man, do we need it at this point in time, at this inflection period in our country. That's cherry news. That's fantastic news, but on a personal level, PR for Nigeria, the leveraging factors are incalculable. So we're very grateful. All stakeholders across the world are very, very pleased with her performance. You know, she's been near the podium a few times, so she's a consistent athlete. She's a hard-working athlete, as you can see. And this is just the crowning glory of it all, because at times, failure is the flip side of success. It strengthens your resolve, it strengthens your spirit to go get better. So perhaps those near misses is what built up to a crescendo in her performance at this time. So we're all very pleased with it. My hope and prayer is that this time around, we'll pick up these athletes, make sure we monitor them, make sure there's a program for them. And above all, we should stop budgeting money for competitions alone. There has to be money to support the athletes. There has to be money to build them to the best they can be so that they can optimize their talents. Often, there's a miscue, there's a disconnect, there's a dissonance that doesn't help us to reach where we're supposed to be. To bring up a world beater like a Brume or Amusha, as it were, you need time. Often it's a 4-year to 8-year period, and at times even more than that. So you need to have a program. You need to support that program. You need to make sure you take welfare of the athletes. Like I said, there's a disconnect for us there. But often, foreigners are the ones that pick up these athletes from America to Canada to UK and then prime them and build them up to world beaters. And often we lose them in terms of citizenship. I did mention Francis Obikwelu, who went on to win a silver medal in, in Greece, in Athens Olympics, as it were. And then when the American dropped, I think he got the gold. Same with Gloria Lozier, we lost. She went on to win laurels in European championships and all that. So if we can bridge that gap, and this is where I'm appealing to the current sports minister, to make sure that we build on this success. Earlier in some of the interviews I've had, I said, let's not make it another Chioma Ajunwa moment. where it's taken us 25 years to have another major event like that. We can really have a conveyor belt of success by doing very simple things. A policy framework for athletics, and it's cheap.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated Tobi Amusan for winning Nigeria's first ever gold medal at the World Athletics Championships. The special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, conveyed President Buhari's message in a statement. He said the president joins millions of Nigerians in celebrating this outstanding feat by a compatriot and two-time African Games champion who in one night stunned the athletics world with her superlative and stellar performance. The president thanks the track superstar for making the Nigerian national anthem resonate again from the international podium, leaving the nation with the excitement and unforgettable memories of tears of joy and triumph, hope and victory, incredulity and belief. Similarly, the president commended Ese Brume for representing Nigeria with honor and pride, winning silver medal in the women's long jump event. And to security, 3 more persons who were kidnapped during an attack on the Kaduna-bound train March 28th have been freed by their abductors. The 3 victims, including 2 males and a female, were reportedly released in the early hours of today at a location inside the forest near the Kaduna-Abuja highway. One of the freed victims, Hassan Othman, told Channels Television that the federal government and security agencies did not play any role in their release, adding that their families negotiated their release with the terrorists. So far, 22 of the kidnapped passengers have been released by terrorists, while 40 others are still in captivity.
If someone is in captivity for almost 4 months, one will lose his head, and we are distressed there and stressed up due to our long stay. But now, thank God, we have our freedom, and I'm happy the way my people received me now. Thank God, I regained my freedom again.
Did the government play any role in your release?
No, not at all, not at all. Initially, on Friday, members of our family wanted to facilitate our release, but the government aborted that effort. And we feel that being Nigerian citizens, the government has a responsibility to protect our life and property. And in that respect, they have woefully failed.
Now we still have some of your colleagues still remaining in the forest.
Yes.
What are your concerns about their safety?
They are in a dangerous situation now. Anything can happen, and I'm calling, on that video, I'm calling on international community to come to their aid or rescue, because the federal government, it seems that they are not ready to secure their release.
In part 2, after the break, we have more on the families of the abducted passengers on the Abuja-Kaduna train, plus more political stories as Governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, narrows the presidential contest to APC and PDP. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Cherry news for Nigeria as Tobi Amusan stuns the athletic community, sets new world record in women's 100 meters hurdle at World's Athletics Championships in Oregon, USA. Another Nigerian, Ese Brume, also shines in long jump. 3 more Abuja-Kaduna train abductees freed by bandits as families of the remaining hostages protest in Abuja. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, promises to ensure generation of 15,000 megawatts of electricity within 4 years if he is elected in 2023. And 4 democracy activists executed by Myanmar's military in what is said to be the first use of capital punishment in decades. Earlier today, families of the abducted passengers on the Abuja-Kaduna train service picketed the Ministry of Transport for the delay in the rescue of their loved ones from captivity. The spokesperson for the families, Mr. Ahmed Arua, explains that the protest is triggered by the latest video from the abductors seen flogging some of their relatives. He added that they were at the ministry to express their frustration over the matter.
It is a solemn march, devoid of solidarity songs, as families of the Abuja-Kaduna train attack proceed to the headquarters of the Ministry of Transportation in Abuja. Some passengers of the Kaduna-bound train were abducted on the 28th of March 2022 after bandits used explosives to attack the train, leaving 8 persons dead. Over 11 of them have so far been released by the terrorists. This protest is triggered by an online video released by the bandits, flogging some of the victims. Their family members blocked the entrance into the headquarters of the Ministry of Transportation, obstructing human and vehicular movement. They demand action from the government.
I gathered here this morning to press home the need to get our loved ones who are presently in the bush with the kidnappers so that we can get the government to get them out of that place. That is why we are here.
In that bush, my sister and a little baby in that bush, sleeping in that bush. We don't know what they have been fed with. We don't know the kind of water they are drinking. We don't know whether the clothes they went in have been changed. And that is no, of course, because we can still see them in the same clothing that they traveled with. That baby is innocent. That baby is too innocent.
An attempt by an official of the ministry to pacify them proves abortive. However, he makes a promise.
Government is taking responsibility. For us, we may be seeing it as if nothing is being done. But I can assure you that a lot is being done behind. But there are things you do that will spoil everything. So what government is doing is trying to beat their time.
The minister later addresses them, promising that the government is doing all it can to secure the release of their family members.
So I know exactly what you people are going through. One of the victims is also related to me, Sadiq. Sadiq, the son of Professor Abdullah, is my cousin.
He's released.
I know. Everybody else will be released, inshallah. Now, I want to tell you, please, give me the opportunity. Let me resume in this office. This will be the first matter I'm going to tackle by the grace of God. I have asked God to guide me, to lead me in this assignment, and I know God will not fail me.
Nevertheless, the protesters stayed adamant, asking the government to provide concrete assurance that their loved ones will be released soon.
The federal government has ordered the immediate closure of one of its colleges, the Federal Government College, Kwale, located in Kwale Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory, over security breaches. The directive was given earlier today by the Minister of Education, Mr. Adamu, on behalf of the federal government. A statement issued by the Director of Press in the Ministry of Education, Mr. Ben Gong, explains that the closure of the school became necessary following reported security breaches in some villages located around the school, namely Shadda and Lambata villages. According to him, security operatives intervened and were able to ward off the attacks. In the meantime, the minister has directed that arrangements be made for the final year students who are writing the National Examination Council NECO examinations to conclude. He also directed principals of unity colleges across the country to liaise with security agencies within their jurisdictions to forestall any security breaches in schools. Meanwhile, some parents have been visiting the school to take their children.
Around 3 o'clock, that I should come and pick them. And I asked them what happened. That all the students have left, so their parents are coming to carry their children. I said, okay, what happened? That they said that they were shooting guns all over the night, that they could not sleep, that even the teachers are panicking, that they don't know where the bullet is, the gun is even coming from, but they're just hearing the bullet sound. So I said, okay. I will come and pick you people today. Then this morning I now called them. I said, are you people having exam? They say yes. I said, okay. After the exam, I will come. Then they keep calling me. So that is why I'm here. Yes, I spoke with the guardian yesterday. That is one of the teachers here. He said he will advise me to come and carry the children.
The Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, has been speaking on how he plans to fix Nigeria if voted into power come 2023. Mr. Obi is promising to ensure Nigeria generates, transmits and distributes a minimum of 15,000 megawatts of electricity in his first term in office. He explained that he will achieve this by adopting the Egyptian Energy Roadmap, which was completed in 3 years. Mr. Obi was a guest on our Politics Today program.
And my commitment is that Nigeria can be able to generate, transmit, and distribute 15,000 megawatts within a 4-year period of a government. Because in Egypt, their target was 5 years, but the way the plans were executed, they were achieved under 3 years. And it is critical. You can't talk about production without talking about power. It is shown that for every 1,000 megawatts of electricity you're able to produce, you probably be adding almost 1% to your GDP. So it is critical, 1% growth. So it is critical for us to do that as aggressively as possible. Nigeria today, with our population, and if we're going to make any meaningful step in being productive, requires at least 30,000 megawatts of electricity. It will be difficult, but I assure you that we will achieve half of that as quickly as possible.
On security, Mr. Obi says he will first tackle the problem of unemployment by providing meaningful jobs for the youth before dealing decisively with criminal elements in society.
First, I will deal with it in the sense that I've also been able to see some of the kidnappers, the bandits and everything, and some of them I've been able to meet when I visited prisons where issue of unemployment, they have nothing to do. So when we provide a means of livelihood for some of them, support people to be meaningfully engaged, we will deal with the remaining decisively as we deal with every other criminal. Whenever much time, I can assure you of that. At this stage, they are not being decisively dealt with.
Well, as permutations continue regarding the political parties that will dominate the frontline in the 2023 general elections, the governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, is of the opinion that the contest will be a two-horse race between the APC and the PDP. Governor Sule was speaking to our political correspondent, Terry Kumi.
It's not even popular in Nasarawa State, so I don't know about the nation. Because in Nasarawa State, in fact, the popularity has nothing to do with Labour Party. Labour Party doesn't even belong anywhere. So, and I'm telling you, frankly speaking, so the parties that are even coming up to show some level of some popularity that you are talking about, that some individuals are promoting, are probably like, the SDP, probably like, because it depends from one state to another. Probably like the NNPP, the Kwankwaso's party. The national level, based on what we read in the newspapers, there are four political parties that are strong. Definitely APC, because we are the ruling party, the PDP, because they have an excellent candidate also in the PDP. Peter Obi, a one-time governor, is also a good person, so Labour Party is there, and of course Kwankwaso's party. So these are the ones that we see or we read in the newspapers, at that level. So I think it's going to be like that. But most likely, if you look at all these candidates, with all sense of humility, the two candidates actually are the top.
Which two?
Asuwaju and Atiku Abubakar.
You're writing of
Peter Obi and Kwankwaso?
I'm not writing them off, but they will find it very difficult to break through because going in, they will do very well. I have no doubt in certain regions, but to have the national spread, is going to be very difficult because it's people who move political parties. It's not just the name or the individual at the top. With due respect, look at what the two other parties have. If they had come in together, similar to what ACN, APP, and the rest of that did to form APC. If they have done that, they probably will have more national spread.
For the full interview, do watch Political Paradigm on Tuesday at noon. Still ahead on the news at 10. Nigerian bakers raised the price of bread by between 10 and 20% after a 4-day warning strike cites surge in cost of production. That's on Business News. Do join us again. And we're off to Abuja now, where Linda Kigwe is standing by with more stories. Hi, Linda.
Hello, Millicent. We continue with politics. Governor Dave Umahi of Ebonyi State has been speaking on the controversy surrounding the APC Ebonyi South Senatorial District primary election, maintaining that he was not disqualified by the court. Mr. Umahi explains that the other contender in the election, Mrs. Anne Agomeze, allegedly withdrew from the race, leading to a call for a rerun election. He was speaking on our breakfast program, Sunrise Daily.
Going to the Electoral Act, where this thing says in Section 31 that where a candidate withdraws, and then in Section 33, then that you have to, what you need to do where a candidate withdraws in Section 33, that you have to within 14 days. And that's what the party did, that within 14 days they complied and notified INEC. And INEC came and they observed the election. So now, the judge relied on the lie told by Anne by saying, look, I was not aware that the candidate has withdrawn. And it's not for you to be aware, because you have to rely on the Electoral Act. And so the party, published in the constituency, look, there will be another election on 9th. And that election held. And the same Anne, incidentally, was in the party secretariat when that decision was taken, and there were cameras everywhere that captured her even when she was signing. And so for me, she lied on that oath. At the APC in Ebonyi State, they have taken it up to sue, to say, look, you lied on that oath. But the court did not disqualify me. The court says that there should be a rerun. And both of them, whether they have withdrawn or not, should be given the opportunity to also try again.
To the judiciary, the People's Democratic Party in Rivers State has dragged the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, before a federal high court in Port Harcourt, seeking the delisting of legislative candidates of the All Progressives Congress in the state for the 2023 general elections. The case was filed on the basis that the primaries that produced the senatorial and House of Representatives candidates of the APC was done in violation of the provision of the Electoral Act. An Abuja-based lawyer, Osigwe Momo, is suing the All Progressives Congress, APC, and the party's presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, at the Federal High Court, Abuja, for allegedly fielding the president and vice presidential candidates of the party from the same religion for the 2023 general elections. In the suit, the lawyer is seeking an order of perpetual injunction restraining INEC from publishing the name of the APC presidential candidate for violation of the Nigerian constitution. The plaintiff claims that the decision to pick the party presidential flag bearer and the running mate from the same religion violates the principle and spirit of the Nigerian constitution. No date has been fixed for hearing of the suit. The president has commended the ECOWAS Commission for its capacity and patience, particularly towards addressing issues of insecurity, COVID-19 pandemic, as well as political tensions in some West African countries. President Buhari made this remark when he received the outgoing president of the ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassi-Bro, at the State House today. He also thanked him for his role in advancing unity in the sub-regional body. According to a statement issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, President Buhari expressed the hope that Bro's successor would study strategies employed by the previous team in the last 4 years for the good of the sub-regional body. Meanwhile, the president has appointed Deputy Corps Marshal, Finance and Accounts, Dauda Ali Biu, as the acting Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps. Mr. Biu is replacing the former Corps Marshal, Boboye Oyeyemi, who bowed out of service yesterday. A statement by the Corps Public Education Officer, Assistant Corps Marshal BC Kazim, states that while handing over at the FRSC headquarters, Oyeyemi wished the incoming Corps Marshal a successful tenure. On his part, Biu appreciated the management of FRSC and the presidency for the appointment, pledging his diligence and zeal in carrying out the new mandate. That's all from Abuja. Back to you, Millicent.
Many thanks, Linda. Chronic aviation fuel shortages and a dip in capacity owing to operational absence of 2 domestic carriers is leading to long flight delays, with the domestic airline sector facing a myriad of issues from tough operating environment to scarcity of foreign exchange. Passengers, on the other hand, are also paying more for fares. Our aviation correspondent, Bukola Joe-Kinsumbi, reports.
The situation at the Abuja airport at the weekend as passengers face long delays and many unsure of making it to Lagos owing to the scarcity of aviation fuel.
What's the time now? This is almost to 8 p.m.
In Lagos, passenger numbers around the Muritala Mohammed Airport 2 appears to have dipped as the terminal is home to Dana and Aero contractors, both airlines not operating at this time. The flight display board in the check-in area tells the story of limited flights, 34 for the day, with the last for 6:50 p.m. A passenger meant to fly in the evening now has to wait 3 hours.
I booked, I think, like a week ago. I booked to Dubai. I just returned back from Dubai. I'm supposed to go back to Abuja now. But getting to this place, they've shifted the flight till 10 after 8.
From the board display, early flights to Akure and Warri left about 1 hour and almost 2 hours 23 minutes after the initial departure time. A Max Air flight to Port Harcourt for 11:50 a.m. had not departed by 3:21 p.m., while Ibom Air's 9:45 a.m. flight to Uyo departed at 2:34 p.m. The long delays also come with an increase in fares.
The one I booked initially on Ibom was a return flight. It cost about 126,000 naira. Unfortunately, the one I booked just one way now, it's 7,500. It's quite expensive, and I wonder how many Nigerians can afford this. Knowing very well that the minimum wage is about 30,000 naira. That's like more than almost times 3 your salary minimum wage.
With the persistent scarcity of Jet A1 hitting hard at the airlines, the domestic runway closure also adds to the burden of local carriers at this time as they continue to count their losses.
About 1,000 liters of aviation fuel just to taxi to international and back. At the end of the month, by the time you are operating 10 aircraft from Lagos to other parts of Nigeria with about 8 landings per day out of Lagos, you are already looking at about 900 to 1 billion naira on aviation fuel that you are losing just to taxi to international airport, delaying, halting, being on the queue, and what have you. That is huge.
Beyond the Jet A1 crisis, Nigerian airlines have lost about 40% of their fleet since last year, as the carriers find it increasingly difficult to access foreign exchange for maintenance and their finances continue to deplete. Bukola Joe-Kinsumbi, Channels Television News.
And away from aviation, between August the 8th and 14th, 2022, members of the Redeemed Christian Church of God will be converging on Nigeria from across the world to celebrate the church's 70th anniversary, tagged Perfect Jubilee. To that end, the leadership of the church has been speaking on the significance of the upcoming event, promising to ensure a free flow of traffic in and around the campground during the program.
As a mission, we are committed. We have a commitment to the development of our nation of origin, Nigeria. And Jubilee is a season where we see God liberating our nation from many challenges the nation is currently facing. We are confident, and indeed, Nigeria will become the delight of all nations, in Jesus' name. Amen. As a global church, we affirm our commitment to global peace and prosperity of nations, families, and individuals. Our belief is that this year of Jubilee will mark a total turnaround for the world, economically, and many other ramifications. God will be asserting his authority as the sovereign owner and ruler of all nations.
Time for some business news now. Here's Anne Nwaldo.
Thank you, Millicent. Hello and welcome to Business News. Bread makers across Nigeria have raised the price of the product by between 10 and 20%, blaming the increase on the high cost of essential production ingredients. This is coming after some of the major bakers resumed for a 4-day strike, which they embarked on last Thursday, to demand government's intervention around the prices of materials used for the product. According to the president of Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, Emmanuel Onwara, the price of a commodity is now up by between 10% and 20%. At the same time, the Association of Master Bakers and Caterers of Nigeria said they resumed production today, July the 25th, and that's after weeks of strike. But the prices of bread will also increase. Meanwhile, the bakers are asking government to assist by reducing the price of yeast, sugar and flour being imported into the country and allow their members obtain the license to import the commodity. Global wheat prices rebounded today after Russia's weekend attack on the seaport of Odessa in southern Ukraine. Chicago wheat futures surged as much as 4.6% today, recouping some of the previous session's sharp losses. Also, the price of corn rose 1.2%, while soybeans added 0.2%. However, Ukrainian officials say that despite the attack, they are still pushing ahead with a deal announced with Russia just last week and will begin shipping millions of tons of grain that has been piling up since the invasion. Friday's agreement between both countries aims to facilitate exports from 3 of Ukraine's Black Sea ports, including Odessa, and is hailed as a vital step towards alleviating a global food crisis. Let's talk about the final trading week in the month of July. It has started with a significant pullback. Sell pressure hit MTN Nigeria's share price and 16 other stocks. Laddie Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the week starts off with massive sell pressure with bellwether stocks leading to the equity cap losing the 28 trillion level today. Well, looking at the activity chart, there's just deals in the green at 4,314 with volume and value in the red. And sell pressure. MTN Nigeria stocks dropped the market today with 6.99%, wiped off the share price, putting MTN Nigeria on the top losers counter. And sell pressure on 4 of the 5 fugars also added pressure to the market, with just Zenith Bank in the green, up about 4% today. I guess investors were excited about, Zenith Bank Plc retaining the #1 spot, ranked as the #1 bank in Nigeria by the Banker magazine. Well, let's take a look at the gainers counter now. We see CAP Plc, that's in the building materials sector, is topping that counter closing at 18 naira 70 kobo, followed by Nigerian Aviation Handling Company. Well, first trading day of the week in the red. Let's see how the week plays out. And that's the stock market report. I'm Ladi Williams. It's back to you.
Thank you for watching Business News. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Millicent.
Thanks, Anne. Coming up next, 4 democracy activists executed by Myanmar's military in what is said to be the first use of capital punishment in decades. Stay with us. International news around the world in 5 is next. Here's Simon Pusey.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. 4 democracy activists have been executed by Myanmar's military in what is believed to be the first use of capital punishment in decades. Sentenced to death in January and April in a closed-door trial, the 4 men had been accused of helping militias to fight the army that seized power in a coup last year and unleashed a bloody crackdown on its opponents. Among those executed were democracy figure Kyaw Min Hugh, better known as Jimmy, and the former lawmaker and hip-hop artist Pho Zior Thor.
I think we need to move beyond words at this point. It's clear that words have no impact on the junta. They took this action, this terrible, horrendous action against pro-democracy activists, regardless of ASEAN's strong words and regardless of ASEAN's move to ban junta representatives at their summits. So that's obviously not working. ASEAN needs to really rethink and think about applying real hard economic and diplomatic pressure to the junta to stop its crimes.
The head of Russia's investigative committee has said Moscow has charged 92 members of the Ukrainian armed forces with crimes against humanity. Alexander Bastrikin said over 1,300 criminal investigations had begun. He also proposed an international tribunal backed by countries including Iran, Syria and Bolivia, traditional allies of Russia. But this month, Ukraine said it was examining more than 21,000 war crimes and crimes of aggression allegedly committed by Russian forces since the start of the invasion in February. The International Criminal Court, which has described Ukraine as a crime scene, has also sent a team of investigators and forensic experts to Ukraine. A fast-moving wildfire in California continues to grow in size, firefighters say, as they struggle through sweltering temperatures. The Oak Fire has now burned 15,603 acres of land and is still 0% contained, California's fire department said on Sunday night. But it added that the fire activity is not as extreme as previous days and firefighters are making progress. More than 6,000 people have been evacuated and 10 structures destroyed. The California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection reported a further 3,271 structures, both homes and businesses, are under threat. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has officially launched his re-election campaign in Rio de Janeiro. A recent opinion poll suggests the far-right leader is trailing as much as 19 percentage points behind his main left-wing rival, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Lula is known for his policies to lift people out of poverty. In his nomination speech, Mr. Bolsonaro promised to retain a welfare program that makes cash payments to poorer Brazilians. The first round of the election will be held on the 2nd of October, with a second round scheduled for the 30th of October if none of the candidates get 50% of the votes. Pakistan's Sindh province has declared a public holiday for Karachi and Hyderabad amid flooding and heavy rain, but residents said the authorities had not done enough to help. Residents waded in knee-deep water and vehicles churned through the flooded streets, carrying people to their waterlogged destinations, although schools, offices and markets in the port city of Karachi remained closed as moderate to heavy rain continued to lash various parts of Sindh province. A huge swarm of jellyfish along Israel's coast has been forcing locals and tourists from the beaches, raising warnings about the dangers of ecological imbalance due to climate change. This video was captured by a drone over Haifa Bay and shows the massive infestation of the invertebrates. Jellyfish are not uncommon in the area, especially in the summer, but the current wave of them has reached new levels of extreme saturation. It's thought to be costing the country some $10 million a year in lost tourism. According to the Israel Society of Ecology and Environmental Sciences, overfishing has helped jellyfish increase in numbers in recent years. And finally, it's been confirmed that the Eurovision Song Contest will take place in the UK next year. The show's organisers decided the event could not be held in the winning country, Ukraine, due to the ongoing war following Russia's invasion. The UK came second in this year's contest, so the European Broadcasting Union opened talks with the BBC. It's not yet known which city will host, but cities including Glasgow and Manchester have expressed an interest. The UK has a number of places with suitable arenas, accommodation and international transport links. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The Super Falcons are back in the country from the Africa Cup of Nations campaign in Morocco. Despite not winning a medal, the Falcons qualified for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup by virtue of their top 4 finish. And the Boston Celtics have emerged among teams engaged in talks on a possible deal for Kevin Durant as his trade request approaches a 4th week. And that's it on Sports News. It's back to Millicent with the wrap of the news at 10.
Thank you, Victor. And the main news again. Toby Amusan today stunned the athletic community, setting a new world record in women's 100 meters hurdles at the World Athletics Championships in Oregon, USA, just as another Nigerian, Esther Brume, also clinched a silver medal in the women's long jump event. Congratulations, Nigeria. That's News at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Nwaka. Have a good night and stay safe.